Next we're going to go over another deadfall trigger, and this one's very simple. This one's called the 2-stick or rolling pin deadfall trigger. And literally you only need 2 sticks for this. It's just a couple of sticks that I broke off here. They're a little bit smaller than the diameter of my thumb. Of course, the size of your materials is going to depend on the size of the animal you're going after. If you're going after a bigger animal, of course you're going to have to use a larger deadfall. You're going to have to use larger materials. Going after something small like a squirrel or something like we're going after, you can use a little bit smaller materials. So always remember that you want your deadfall to be 4 or 5 times heavier than the animal that you intend to capture. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the post stick. And for that, all we're going to do is I'm going to dress this up a little bit. Give myself a nice flat surface to work with here. You wouldn't have to do this. You could use a rock, some kind of stone, to construct this whole trap. You wouldn't actually even need a knife. You could take and scrape your pieces on a piece of stone to shape them however you wanted. Now we're just going to take and ramp this off at about a 45-degree angle. And like I said, you could just do this on a stone. It'd take a little bit longer, of course. You see I got a nice angle there. I'm going to take and flatten this top. Give us a nice even surface. And you'll see why here in a minute. Now for our bait stick, we're going to sharpen a point on one end. And then we're actually going to flatten the bottom edge. So basically when you place that under your deadfalling device, you're going to have the rounded part rested up against your deadfall. Your flat part here on your 45 is actually going to rest right here on the flat part of your bait stick. And that's going to hold your deadfall in place. As soon as the animal comes and grabs the bait off the stick, should trigger the trap. I was scouting around looking for a trap site along the lake here. Found us a nice little trail leading down to the water's edge there. So looks like this will be a pretty good area to set up here. Okay, so I have a deadfalling device here in the form of a rock. I have my trigger. And then what I've done is I've collected a piece of cottonwood bark, outer bark, to kind of serve as an anvil for this trap. This ground out here is real soft and spongy, so I just kind of took this, dug a little trench here so I didn't get my hands all in the dirt, get my scent everywhere. And that's going to give me a little platform to set this trap up on. See, I can set my trap trigger up here, and my deadfalling device will also be up here on this bark, and that'll give it a more even surface, hopefully. So to set the trap, and we are right on a game trail here. We're going to take the bait stick, point towards the inside of the trap. The flat side that we carve is going to be on the bottom. We're going to take our post stick. You can see our 45-degree angle that we cut there. We're going to take and try to butt that onto that flat surface. Sorry, the mosquitoes are just eating me alive out here. Okay, so you can see we got it somewhat set here. You want this back stick to be at an angle like this because that's going to help everything get thrown out of the trap. Now a lot of times with this trigger, your components end up inside the trap with your animal, but if you set this at a good enough angle, a lot of times you can get everything to kick out, or at least you can get your post stick to kick out. So to set the sensitivity on this, it's not going to be very sensitive right where it is. What we're going to want to do is grab a hold of everything securely and safely, and we're going to want to back this post stick back up this way out of the trap. And the farther we go up here, the more sensitive this is going to be. You're going to want to find that happy medium where it balances on there. I can tell just by the way it's all sitting on there that this isn't going to be very sensitive. And this trigger isn't really known for its sensitivity, but you can fiddle around with a little bit and get it better. The good thing about this trigger is, you've seen, it literally takes 2 minutes to manufacture one. You could get a bunch of them set up in a short amount of time, have them working for you while you're either building more elaborate, more efficient traps, or doing other tasks. So hopefully I do this without having my hands in the way too much. I'm going to back this up just a little bit. And if this wants to keep sliding on you, just keep kicking the bottom of this post stick out, and that'll give you a little bit more leverage this way. You can see now that the bait stick is touching here at the very edge of our deadfalling device, but it's not down here. It's kind of free hanging in the center of our trap. That's what we want. So you're going to want to bait this stick. You're either going to split that stick, cram your bait in there, you're going to want to tie your bait on there real secure, you're going to want it on there really good so the animal really has to struggle to get it off there. And of course you're going to want to do your funneling like we've talked about in other videos. You can obstruct one side or the other to make this accessible from only one side, or you can put some fencing up here. These animals that we're trying to capture are very quick, so by the time they grab that bait and the rock starts to fall, they could be out of it. So if you put some obstructions around here to make it not so easy for them to get out, you increase your chances a great deal. So anyhow, we're going to pretend we got our bait on there. Animal's going to come up, and he's going to be toast. Now you do notice that our post stick flew out of the trap and our bait stick flew most of the way out of the trap. So that's actually pretty good. A lot of times when I've set this trigger up before I learned this way, I would have my components here in the trap, and we've talked about that before. Sometimes it's unavoidable with certain triggers, but if you can keep these components out of the bed of your trap, taking up space in here with your animal, just another way you can increase your chances. You want to increase them chances any way you possibly can so you can have an ethical and humane kill. And not only that, so you can have breakfast or dinner. Alright, so just so you can get a better look at it here, not sure how good the angle was when I set it up the first time, but we have our flat here, point goes inside of the trap, and you just got to find that spot. You can see how it flips down the trap when I go higher up on the bait stick. When I bring it down lower, brings it up closer to the deadfall. Just got to find that happy medium. Another way you can do this trigger is just simply to take your post stick, carve a rounded point in the top of it, and then use another stick to balance that on underneath the rock. And you can see here, like I mentioned before, I did split my point. We're going to take some of this stuff and just pretend that it's bait. And so you can pull that split apart, cram your bait in there, and you could even tie it down if you wanted and make it harder for the animal to get that bait out of your bait stick. Guys, as always, I want to thank you for coming along. All of you who follow us on Facebook and check us out right here on YouTube. All your support really means a lot. Not a single one of your likes, comments, or subscriptions goes unappreciated. I can promise you that. Anyhow, guys, get out there and try some of these triggers. This is Kevin. Hope I see you in the woods real soon.